Every major military power claims their attack helicopter is the best on the planet. Most of them are lying. To find out who has the best, we have to cut through a lot of crap and separate the best platforms from the copycat garbage. Number 10. The IAIO Tufan. This is the worst attack helicopter on this entire list, and Iran wants you to believe this is cutting-edge domestic engineering. Back in 1970, before the Islamic Revolution, Iran bought a bunch of Sea Cobras helicopters from America. Then 1979 happened. Revolution, sanctions, and suddenly no more American parts. Iran reverse-engineered the whole thing under Project 2091. The Tufan is literally a 1970s American helicopter with some bolt-on upgrades and a new name. The original Cobra entered service in 1969, Vietnam War era. Iran has been upgrading these ancient airframes since 1998 and calling it indigenous development. The fundamental airframe, rotor system, and transmission are all Vietnam War technology. Maximum speed hits maybe 149 miles per hour on a good day, making it one of the slowest attack helicopters still flying. The Tufan weighs only 9,921 pounds, fully loaded, less than half what a real attack helicopter weighs. Minimal armor because the whole design is from the 1970s. The weapons loadout tells you everything. 120mm Gatling cannon from the Vietnam era, 8 Tufan anti-tank missiles, which are just reverse-engineered American TOW missiles with a different name, and 38 rockets total. The Apache carries 16 Hellfires and 76 rockets. Iran has built about 20 of these since 1998, 20 helicopters in over 2 decades. Zero combat experience despite being involved in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. No export customers either. Not even countries aligned with Iran want to buy them. Number 9. The Z-10. China loves telling everyone that the Z-10 is their first indigenous attack helicopter, homegrown innovation, a symbol of national engineering pride. Here is what actually happened. In the 1990s, China secretly hired Russia's Kamov Design Bureau to design the entire thing. Kamov did the layout and the aerodynamics. China just took those plans and claimed they built it themselves. But the engine story gets worse. China illegally obtained Canadian Pratt & Whitney engines during development, full-on smuggling operation. This eventually cost the manufacturer $75 million in fines for violating arms export controls. Once America cut off that engine supply, China scrambled to build their own WZ-9 turboshaft engines. The chopper has 2 turboshaft engines producing 1,340 shaft horsepower each. Maximum speed reaches 186 miles per hour with a service ceiling around 21,000 feet. The Z-10 ended up too heavy to fly with full armor and full weapons at the same time, so they decided to strip the armor off. The helicopter now flies around with a glass jaw. China has been trying to fix this recently with graphene armor panels, but that is just slapping a band-aid on a design that should have had proper protection from day one. This abomination has a 23mm cannon with limited traverse, HJ-8 missiles, which are Chinese copies of 1970s Russian Fagot missiles. The HJ-10 gets marketed as a Hellfire equivalent, but independent testing says otherwise. And here is the most damning part. The Z-10 has been in service since 2012, over a decade, 0 confirmed combat deployments. Meanwhile, the Apache, KA-52, and Tiger have extensive battle records proving they actually work. To be honest with you, the Z-10 is an Apache knockoff, similar tandem cockpit layout, comparable fuselage proportions, similar conventional main rotor with tail rotor. It's not just the Z-10 faking it. China has the Harbin Z-19. It's supposed to be their elite scout, but it's literally just a French transport helicopter, the Z-9, with the seats rearranged and no internal gun. Number 8. LAH-1 Miron. South Korea partnered with Airbus to develop this from a civilian EC-155 utility helicopter. They took a corporate transport chopper and tried turning it into a weapon. It has 2 Shakti engines producing 1,060 horsepower each. Maximum speed hits 151 miles per hour. That is the slowest helicopter in this entire ranking. The service ceiling reaches 15,000 feet. The armament confirms this is a light attack platform, a 20mm Gatling gun, 4 Cheongyam anti-tank missiles. The whole thing weighs just 10,824 pounds at max takeoff. It is incredibly light, which gives it agility, but also means limited firepower and protection. South Korea plans to buy 214 of these to replace their ancient MD-500 Defenders and AH-1 Cobras, a reasonable upgrade for what they had before. This helicopter has 0 combat experience because it entered service 1 year ago. The Cheongyam missile has no international combat history. Nobody knows if it actually works under fire. The 20 20mm cannon lacks penetration compared to 30mm systems everybody else uses. No international operators beyond South Korea, no lessons learned, no battlefield data. Everything about this helicopter is theoretical until someone actually uses it in combat. South Korea built a starter helicopter, something to hold them over until they can afford or develop something serious. This is not that. The South Korea's inventory also includes the AH-64E Apache Guardian as their heavy attack platform, while the Marine Attack Helicopter is their specialized amphibious operation for the Marine Corps. Number 7. HAL Prashant Light Combat Helicopter. India had a serious problem during the 1999 Kargil War. Their helicopters could not fly high enough in the Himalayas, the air was too thin, engines choked out, and missions failed. So India decided to build their own high-altitude attack helicopter. This thing entered service in 2022 after a development cycle that dragged on forever. The chopper has two HAL Shakti engines pushing 1,200 horsepower each. Top speed hits 168 miles per hour. The service ceiling reaches 21,300 feet, which is genuinely impressive for altitude. They even set records landing at Siachen Glacier above 21,000 feet cool. But here is where it all falls apart. Zero combat experience, literally none. The helicopter just entered service, so everything about its performance is manufacturer claims and propaganda footage. The armament is weak. A 20mm cannon, 4 Gunversity anti-tank missiles. The armor protection is completely unproven. Nobody knows if it can actually survive getting shot at because it has never been shot at. Indian defense projects have a reputation for delays and cost overruns, and the Prakshant fits that pattern perfectly. Over a decade from first flight to service. With no international buyers, no export prospects, the Gunversity missile has never been tested in actual combat. This is a helicopter that looks good in parades and terrible everywhere else. India needed something that could fight at high altitude, but what they got was an expensive science project with a gun bolted on. India also operates the Boeing AH-64E Apache, which serves as a high-cost foreign import. Number 6. TAIT-129 ATAC. Turkey took the Italian Augusta A129 international airframe and rebuilt it with Turkish engines, avionics and weapons systems specifically optimized for Middle Eastern hot and high operations. The development started in 2007, with first deliveries in 2014. Over 50 helicopters now fly with Turkish forces. It has 2 LHT-EC engines pushing out about 1,373 horsepower, and Turkey upgraded the transmission and redesigned the rotor blades to handle the extra stress. The chopper is built for rough terrain, the kind of rocky, high-altitude environments that eat other helicopters alive. It maxes out at 175 miles per hour and can reach 15,000 feet. The weapons setup is genuinely solid. A 20mm rotary cannon up front with 500 rounds, over 8 LUMTA's long-range anti-tank missiles, and 16 Sirit 70mm guided rockets. Turkey has been pushing hard to sell this helicopter internationally, and it is a solid machine, but politics keep getting in the way. The LHT Ace engines are American origin, which means the US has a say in who Turkey can sell them to. A $1.5 billion deal with Pakistan fell apart because of exactly that. Turkey started building their own engine called the TEITS-1400, still not fully integrated yet though. Number 5. Eurocopter Tiger. 80%, that is how much of the Tiger's body is made from composite materials, carbon fiber, Kevlar, Nomex honeycomb. The whole thing is basically a flying stealth sculpture. Airbus helicopters engineered this monster to be almost invisible on radar and incredibly quiet in the air. The rigid, hingeless rotor system gives it agility that borders on ridiculous. This helicopter can throw itself around mountains and tree lines like it weighs nothing. The construction is revolutionary. 80% composite materials, 11% aluminum, 6% titanium. This dramatically reduces radar cross-section, infrared signature, and acoustic profile. The entire helicopter is quieter and harder to detect than anything else flying. The tail boom is fully composite. Rotor blades use fiber plastic composite, rated to withstand combat damage and bird strikes at speed. The airframe can absorb 23mm cannon fire with substantial crashworthiness margins built to MIL STD 1290 specifications. The Tiger can perform full loops and negative gi maneuvers. This is not normal helicopter behavior. The agility makes it extraordinarily difficult to engage in air-to-air combat. Two crew sit in tandem configuration. Either can assume primary flight control if the other is incapacitated. Now here is where it gets interesting, because France and Germany actually built different versions. Germany went with the UHT model, which is purely a support and anti-tank platform, no internal gun at all, just external gun pods and a mast-mounted sight so the crew can peek over hills without being seen. France took a different approach with the HAP and HAD variants. The HAD is the serious one, uprated MTR 390E engines giving 1,464 horsepower each, a 30mm Nexter cannon, and the ability to carry Hellfire 2 or Spike missiles. It can fly up to 200 miles per hour clean and cover serious ground with a combat range pushing 500 miles. The Top Owl helmet system projects targeting data straight onto the pilot's visor. The Tiger has proved itself in real combat. In Afghanistan from July 2009, where French Tiger HAP detachment from 5th Helicopter Regiment flew armed reconnaissance and fire support accumulating over 1,000 operational hours by July 2010. In Libya in June 2011, where French Tigers operated from carrier Tonnerre alongside British Army Apaches, Mali from January 2013, with German Tigers rotating in March 2017 for MINUSMA support in Afghanistan again in December 2012, when German UHDs deployed from Mazar-e Sharif, conducting reconnaissance, ground support, and convoy protection. Number 4. Leonardo AW249. Fenice. Fenice means phoenix in Italian, and that name actually makes sense because this helicopter is rising out of the ashes of its predecessor. The old A129 Mangusta was Europe's first dedicated attack helicopter, and it was a pioneer, but it was also a 5-ton platform that had basically maxed out everything it could do. The Leonardo is massive by comparison, 18,300 pounds max takeoff weight. The weapons payload jumped by over 90% to around 6,200 pounds. The chopper has 2 General Electric CT7 engines pushing out 2,500 horsepower each, and this thing can cruise at 178 miles per hour while reaching 20,000 feet. It can stay in the air for over 4 hours straight, which is genuinely impressive for a combat helicopter. The chopper does not mess around with survivability either. The drivetrain can run completely dry for 50 minutes if the hydraulics fail. Armored crew seats, ballistic-tolerant fuel tanks. The defensive suite includes directed infrared countermeasures, radar warning systems, laser warning receivers, and automatic chaff and flare dispensers. For offense, you can load up to 16 Spike ER-2 anti-tank missiles, 70mm rockets, and even air-to-air missiles on the wingtips. The open systems architecture means you can bolt on new sensors and weapons without rebuilding the whole helicopter. Italy is positioning the Fenice as the smart buy for countries who want serious firepower without completely destroying their defense budget. Of course, Italy also built the legendary A129 Mangusta, which was Europe's first dedicated attack helicopter. Number 3. Kamov Ka-52. Forget everything you think you know about helicopter design. The Russian Ka-52 has no tail rotor. It uses 2 giant rotors that spin in opposite directions right on top of each other, contra-rotating coaxial rotor system. Kamov has been doing this for decades, and it completely changes how the thing flies. No tail rotor means no vulnerability. All engine power goes straight into lift and thrust. The 2 Klimov engines pump out between 2,197 to 2,500 horsepower depending on variant. This alien monster can hit 186 miles per hour in forward flight, while the service ceiling caps at 18,000 feet, climb rate over 2,200 feet per minute. The coaxial system lets it do maneuvers that conventional helicopters simply cannot pull off. There is a move called the funnel where it flies in a circle while keeping its nose locked on the target the entire time. Insane. The crew sits side by side instead of front to back, which is rare for attack helicopters. Kamov says it helps them work together better during those wild maneuvers. Then you have the ejection system. The Ka-52 is the only helicopter on Earth with a functional crew ejection system. Explosive charges blow the rotor blades off first, and then rockets yank both pilots out of the cockpit. The weapons are no joke either. A single 30mm Shipunov cannon mounted on the starboard side, 250 rounds of armor-piercing, high-explosive and fragmentation ammunition. Its 6 underwing hardpoints carry various missiles, Vikosh R-ATGMs, Atakaya missiles with laser guidance, the latest Izdalia 305E missile, the unguided S-8 rockets for suppression, IGLA air-to-air missiles for defense. Modern variants pack the Arbalete mm wave radar for target detection. Gyro-stabilized optronic station 451 system provides all-weather targeting. 128 countermeasures, Vitebsk direct infrared countermeasure system, laser warning systems, cockpit armor includes 44mm bulletproof glass and 20mm aluminum protection. The Ka-52 has seen more combat than any other modern attack helicopter, deployed in Syria since 2015, extensively throughout Ukraine since 2022, thousands of combat sorties. Russia's lineup include the MiL-Me-28 Havoc for hunting tanks and the MiL-Me-35 Hind for carrying troops. Number 2. Boeing AH-64D Saraf. Saraf is a battle-hardened Apache integrated with Israeli systems and proven through decades of continuous combat. What separates the Saraf is comprehensive Israeli system integration, ELTA communications replacing American radios, Elbit mission management integrates weapons and targeting, Rafael Combat Net provides network capability, Alizra self-protection handles electronic warfare and threats. This gives Israel operational security and reduces American technical dependency. They kept the longbow radar but ran it under Israeli protocols. Standard 30mm chain gun with 1,200 rounds. But the Israeli Air Force frequently loads Spike anti-tank missiles instead of Hellfire and 4 Mistral air-to-air missiles. In case you didn't know, Spike is Israeli's 4th-generation anti-tank weapon with superior performance up to 16 missiles. The combat record for this chopper is extensive. Lebanese operations against Hezbollah throughout the 1990s and 2000s, targeted operations during the Second Intifada, 2006 Lebanon War, Operation Cast Laid in Gaza, and ongoing operations in the Middle East. This is an Apache variant that has seen more combat than almost any other helicopter on Earth. Number 1. AH-64E Apache Guardian. Nothing on this list even comes close. The Apache has been the king of attack helicopters since 1986, and the AH-64E Guardian is the version that will keep that crown until the 2060s. It has 2 General Electric engines delivering 2,000 horsepower each, a maximum weight of 23,000 pounds, speed over 150 knots, but raw power is not what makes the Apache untouchable, it is how everything works together. The longbow radar sits in a dome above the main rotor. It can track 128 targets at once and pick out the 16 most dangerous ones for engagement in under 30 seconds. And the helicopter can do all of that while hiding completely behind a tree line with only that radar dome sticking up. The crew wears the integrated helmet and display sighting system. They literally point the 30mm M230 chain gun by moving their heads. Where you look is where the bullets go. 600 rounds per minute, 1,200 rounds total, plus 16 Hellfire missiles and 76 rockets. The Guardian can also control drones. It becomes a flying command center that sends unmanned aircraft ahead to scout and designate targets before the Apache ever needs to show itself. The Arrowhead targeting system gives the crew perfect vision in total darkness through smoke, dust, through anything. The modular weapon system allows rapid mission reconfiguration. The combat record of this beast is unmatched. Over 35 years of continuous combat experience across Panama in 1989, Gulf War in 1991, Kosovo in 1999, Afghanistan from 2001 through 2021, and Iraq from 2003 through 2011, and again from 2014 onward against ISIS. The production rates of 82 aircraft annually ensure continuous technological updates and spare parts availability for decades. Over 2,700 Apaches have been delivered globally to 18 international partners, including Israel, Netherlands, Japan, United Kingdom, Greece, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and many more. Every country that can afford wants one. Every country that cannot is desperately trying to build something like it. You have to remember, the US also operates the Bell AH-1Z Viper, which is limited to the Marine Corps, and the MH-6 Little Bird as a strict light special operations platform. The Apache is the most battle-proven attack helicopter ever built, period.